Okay, we are recording. Okay, ready to go, Chairman Chandler? Do you want me to pull up the,
Is Bob muted or something?
agenda?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize I was muted.
It's okay.
Couldn't hear you.
I will call the special one-on-nine board meeting of January 27th, 2021 to order at 5:33 p.m. I might just make a note, Pete. The reason we're calling it a special board meeting is because we're having to do it over internet as opposed to in person, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We were wondering.
Well, everybody, who are we missing from quorum?
We're only missing Carl Braisley.
Okay, so we have everybody else here.
Yes,
For the
sir.
record, let it show that we have Robert Schindler, Mary Rose Evans, Bob Lee, Susan Hart, Deether Shipley, and Deborah Thompson present. First item of business would be approval of the two different sets of minutes that we have here, December 2nd, 2020. Has everybody had a chance to review those?
I'll make a motion to approve both sets of minutes as distributed.
We have a second. Is there any additional comments, additions, changes to the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor of approval of the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Appreciate it.
All those opposed? Hearing none in opposition, the minutes for December 2nd, 2020 are approved.
Chairman,
Yes.
if I could, there was a late correspondence from Louisville Metro Government to the 109 board. I sent the letter late. I don't know if we can fit it in as fairly quick. The letter, I can pull it up on the screen if we need to. But it's basically a thank you letter, and we could, everybody should get that letter. Director Burns, do you want to speak to it?
Yeah, I received it. It came in just a few minutes ago.
Is it okay if Director Burns addresses the board?
Yes.
Good afternoon. I just want to thank the members of the 109 board because it's awful difficult in looking for money to do things to improve our programming, in this case, the recycling program. And just we want to thank you, the board, for providing those funds for the carts as we work with the recycling partnership. And we are hopeful that we will be able to continue to improve our recycling program for all those that are participating. And so I just wanted to thank the board. I think one of the other things that we said in the letter, I don't know if everybody knows this, but the Metro Council, the mayor's office and the Metro Council approved $1.5 million to effectuate a cleanliness program. And that is something, if any of us have driven around the city, you know that the city just is not doing well in terms of how it's looking. And so this money, the recycling money, are all so that we can do programming to improve how we're conducting our business. And I know that we do have a grant from the state, but this will help us to hire 14 people It will help us to buy about $800,000 worth of equipment. And one of the things that you as a board, I believe, has been doing is trying to do what you can to improve the level of the litter. So I just want to thank you for the partnership, for the carts, but I also want to say that Metro government in the Waste District, we can do great things together. We did the original 10-year solid waste plan that we are actually working on and doing, like the drop-off program. And we feel that there's a lot more that we can do together as a partnership. So that's why we decided to write the letter and thank you, but know that we have a lot of work to do. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Director Burns. Does anybody have any questions or comments of Director Burns?
Will we get updates on how the money is being used and our services are coming along?
Yes, you will. And Pete, along with other people, Pete will be, we're going to do a baseline assessment where we're going to take people and go out there and find out what's out there and then try to create a cleanliness plan so that we can prioritize in order to get the job as efficiently as we can. And then we will be reporting back to both the city council, the mayor's office, and the waste district about what we have accomplished. And Pete has been working with our GIS person. They're trying to work on what software we're going to use and how we're going to monitor the work that gets done. So I don't know if you have anything else to say about that, Pete, but I think that there's a connection between what we have and what we had with the anti-litter as well as this upcoming program.
I would add that that is part of our agenda tonight is to kind of, number one, inform people as to where we're at with the cart purchases and also as far as the Clean Collaborative and where we're going in that direction. So should hear more about that later on tonight.
Also, let me add that the cleaning of the litter abatement, we are focusing on the suburban street sweeping routes, all the streets, the major thoroughfares that are being swept right now through the contract. That is where we are focusing our litter assessment and also our litter pickup. Furthermore, the council and the mayor have also added 2 more suburban street sweepings between now and also June. Between now and June, we will have 2 more street sweepings as well. We have one already budgeted, but they added to the budget so that we can have 2 more before the end of June 2021. So I just want to give you also that portion of it, where the concentration is in the suburban streets outside of USD that we are focusing to pick up litter. So again, it is a testament to this relationship and the willingness of this partnership to help each other and to do things better for our community. So I just want to also say, as executive director, thank you, and thank you. We've come a long way in a short period of time, but we got a long way to go. And I see some of y'all smiling. Thank you for those smiles, because it makes a difference, seriously. And I ain't got to go into the history, but we have accomplished a lot in such a short period of time, and we're expecting greater things. So thank you again for your support and also your diligence.
Thanks, Keith. Anybody else have any questions or comments on that? Okay, moving along, our next item would be approval of the October 28th, 2020 minutes. Has everybody had a chance to look at them?
I think did we already do that?
Yeah, I think we did that.
I thought we did December 2nd.
I said both sets of minutes that we had.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
If you don't think
I
we both at once.
apologize, Mary Rose. I didn't catch that.
Okay.
All right, well, that takes care of the minutes. Then our next item on the agenda would be the budget report.
Yes, sir. And okay, can everyone see my slide?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the budget to date fiscal year. So we still, our rollover amount's not going to change until after the next fiscal year, up or down. We're running a little bit, I guess, behind on some of our recycling receipts. However, I will say that the recycling market is definitely on the improve. So we expect more income to be coming in that regards. License fees and citations are running a little bit ahead of schedule, so that's good. All of our expenses seem to be doing well. The personnel services is probably the biggest one. We might be a little bit over on that one, but we have, we're actually in pretty good shape. So we're where we need to be. And so unless anybody has any questions, I believe that our budget is in pretty good shape at this point. And I did put, I believe that I sent the land expenses with the packet. Okay, so if anybody has any questions on any of the individual expenses, I can pull that up and I can answer any questions there as well.
This is the end of December's report.
It is up to about a week ago.
Okay. All right. So it's a little more than 6 months.
Yes, sir.
Any questions of Pete? Comments? Okay, hearing none. Thank you, Pete. Next item is for our action items, part of the agenda. Item number 1, amendment to bylaws to add 2 positions to the advisory committee. Pete or Keith?
Yes, sir. And I would kind of turn this over a little bit to Bruce Burrow. The Waste District Advisory Committee has met and they've made a recommendation. So Bruce, do you want to carry this?
Certainly, Chairman Schindler. The advisory committee has the opportunity to continue the relationship with Bruce Blue and his knowledge and expertise in the metal recycling business. And his input, I think, is invaluable. And the advisory committee voted unanimously to expand the committee by 2 members, one from industry, one by either environmental or citizen representative, to ensure that we retain that knowledge and input from Bruce on the advisory committee. And we're asking the 109 board for approval to expand by 2 members.
So this would be an amendment to our current bylaws.
Correct.
This is an addition to the advisory board, not the subcommittee. I understand we have 2 subcommittees.
We do have 2 subcommittees, and they will both be expanded as well because of every committee member is assigned to a subcommittee. So each subcommittee will be expanded by 1 member.
Okay. And the 2 subcommittees are education, and then have we combined industry and environment as one? I know we had 3 boards that were combined into, we had 3 committees that were combined into 2 committees. What are those 2 committees now?
Just one moment and I can answer your question.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm flipping. We have the residential and C&D subcommittee and the ICI and self-haul subcommittee. The residential and C&D subcommittee Their next meeting is February 9th, and the ICI and Self Hall Subcommittee meeting is February 17th.
And those committees will get an additional member by the addition of the 2 members to the board.
Yes.
Okay.
I have
Okay.
a question. I don't know what ICI means.
That would be industrial, commercial, institutional.
Thank you.
If you remember that we did have those committees broken up a little bit different based upon education, enforcement, contracts, and such. When we broke it this way so that because education needed to be in everything. So we don't have an education committee, but education supports both committees.
That's a good explanation. Yeah.
And if I may, I will say that we had the first advisory committee for quite a while last week, and we had excellent attendance. I believe we had virtually every member except Greg, who was able to participate. And, I asked committee members to in their mind to look at our world now compared to what it was a year ago, if you will, or March of last year, and ensure our focus is in the right area. And at the next advisory committee meeting, we'll verify which way we're heading. At the subcommittee meetings, we'll go back to the impact and effort matrices to ensure that we're on the right track with regard to implementation of the recycling initiative.
Do we have a second member? We have Bruce Blue for the ICI, but do we have a second member nominated to the other committee?
I have not had any nominations to this point, but I've asked the committee to make recommendations, and only time will tell, but obviously we want to make sure that we have that balanced committee to give the best product available for the 109 board to consider.
Okay.
I would just suggest that when we decide about this new member, that we should be considering racial diversity as well as having somebody from, a certain group of people, but also racial diversity is important in everything right now. So.
Yeah.
Well, and we agree, Mary Rose. That was actually a subject that was mentioned by Mr. Hackett, and all committee members agree. It's basically we're bound by who shows interest and who's willing to participate. And I welcome any and all races to participate with the advisory committee. So I agree with you. I would love to expand our diversity and look forward to it if the opportunity presents itself.
On the addition of 7 appointees, this additional position we're adding, I don't have the advisory committee roster in front of me. Would this be a citizen at large, or would it be an environmental representative?
The way that that it's written, it's 7 citizen appointees with at least 3 citizen environmental. So it could be either or.
Okay, I guess my question is do we currently have 3 citizen environmental representatives, or? I apologize, I don't have the roster in front of me and I can't get it.
Yeah, I couldn't get it either.
Karen, is that something you can pull up on the website real quick without me having to jump out of the program?
Thanks, Karen. I wasn't going to put you under the bus.
We have Sarah Lynn, and we have Greg, and we have the guy who used to be in charge of Interface Fire and Light,
Kedrick Stanfield, Sarah Lynn Cunningham, Tim Darst
cars.
are all environmentalists.
Okay, all right.
I have it pulled up now if you still have a question.
Well, you might just pop it up. I got it real quick.
Do I need to quit sharing, Karen?
I
I think I do. Yes.
think it took over. Okay, so this is how it's listed on the website.
All right. Anybody have any questions or comments and do we need the advisory committee members anymore? So what this would require would be a motion to amend the minutes and not amend the minutes. I'm sorry, a motion to amend the bylaws of the Waste Management District Board, correct, Pete?
Yes. Karen, can you stop sharing?
First of all, does any board members have additional questions as to the intent of this recommendation from the advisory committee or comments on?
So we need the additional members for a broader scope, or so it's easier to get a quorum for meeting, or because they're more available, or because there's more work to do?
Actually, the addition of the requested members will increase our quorum requirements, but it will just provide additional expertise with regard to metal recycling in Metro Louisville and the knowledge base. As you know, Bruce used to be on the 109 board and he couldn't continue to participate in the 109 board. He's extremely interested in still participating and contributing to the city's efforts. And I would just hate to lose that knowledge base, if you will, by not having a spot. And I do believe there are the opportunities to expand by adding another, if you will, member from environmental or citizens at large.
Any other questions or comments? Any questions or comments from advisory committee members or members of the audience?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion in order to accept the amendments to the bylaws.
Okay, we have a motion by Bob Lee. Do we have a second?
I second the motion.
We have a motion and a second by Susan Hart. Is there additional discussion that board members want to have? Okay, hearing none, I guess we'll call for a vote. We probably, Pete, can you do since this is an action item involving the bylaws of the board, can you do a roll call?
Sure. Robert Lee,
Yay.
Petra,
Yes.
Deborah,
Yes.
Mary Rose,
Yes.
Susan Hart,
Yes.
and Robert Schindler.
Yes.
That completes it. Unanimous.
All right.
Thank you
Thank
very
you all
much.
very much. Thank you, Bruce, and advisory committee members. Second item would be appointment of Bruce Blue to the advisory committee.
That is correct.
Do we have a motion?
I'll move that we appoint Bruce Blue to the advisory committee.
Moved by, sorry, go ahead.
I said I would second that motion.
Moved by Mary Rose, seconded by Deborah. Do we have any additional comments, questions from the board members? Hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor of appointing Bruce Blue as a member of the advisory committee signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Hearing none, that passes. Bruce Blue is added to the advisory committee. Congratulations, Bruce, if you're out there. Under old business, we have nothing on the agenda. Under new business, nothing on the agenda. Advisory committee report. Bruce or Karen or both?
Well, obviously the advisory committee did meet on the 20th. We had an excellent turnout. I believe I mentioned earlier that Greg was not available, and Kedrick, I believe, also was not available. But we had plenty for a quorum. We did discuss the world we live in today versus what existed back in March of 2020. And we're going to re-examine our objectives at the next subcommittee meetings, which one will be on February 9th, which will be the residential C&D subcommittee, and February 17th, which will be the ICI and self-haul subcommittee meeting. And following that, on the 17th will be our next advisory committee meeting, where focus in on the targets that we either continue to pursue or want to redirect to pursue, in hopes of, having objectives to present to the board, within the next couple meetings. The only vote was to bring the request to the 109 board for the addition of members. Karen, am I missing anything?
I don't think so. That sums it up.
I would like to point out that we do have, at the early meeting, I think we had voted on chair, which I'm not sure that the board that we've met since then. So it kind of goes back 2 meetings, but we had Bruce Burrow was elected chair. Kedrick Stanfield was vice chair of the full committee. Sandra Leonard and Marie Beth are the chair and vice chair of the residential and construction and demolition committee. And the Greg Zaradnik and Brian Slade is the chair and vice chair of the ICI and self-haul subcommittees.
Thank you, Pete.
Any questions of Bruce or Karen? Pete, could I ask you at your convenience to send out the an advisory committee roster to board members listing the advisory committee members and the specific constituents they represent?
Yes, sir. No problems.
Yeah, no big hurry, just at your convenience.
Just as a reminder, we can always have those listed on our website now. We didn't used to have that website, but it is on our website.
Oh, okay. Well, if it's on there, then thanks. Don't worry about it.
LouisvilleWasteDistrict.org.
All right. Thank you, Bruce. Thank you, Karen. If there's nothing else on the advisory committee, we want to move into the staff report.
Yes, sir. Well, the first item on the staff report is events. And we haven't met since we had our last event. And so last year we had 3 pop-up drop-offs. They were very successful with over 1,000 participants, and 49 tons of junk waste disposal, 584 tires, 6.5 tons of metal, 9.5 tons of yard debris, 18 tons of electronics, 500 pounds of prescription meds, and 3 truckloads of documents that were shredded and recycled. That is quite a good result in 3 events as compared to what we were doing with the junk drop off out at the landfill previously one time a year. So we're really happy with the way that this event is going. I think that we will have 9 of these events in the coming year. And I feel like that this program is really going to hit its stride. I think that the crews that are operating it, the way that they're laid out, the way that the word is getting out, all those teams are making this extremely successful program. And Mr. Schindler we threw a quote in there from him on the slide because I know that he did visit the U of L site, and it was he felt like that it was well run. But one of the things that we definitely want to do is get board members and committee members more involved with coming out to some of these events so that they can see the good that the board has done with their funding and the agreement with Louisville Metro government. So just wanted to kind of bring that up. Karen, what's our first event for this coming year? I think it's
I think it's March 27th. Yes, Saturday, March 27th, and it'll be at Sun Valley Park, southwest part of the county.
So that'll be our first one in the spring. And we'll continue to get the word out, and hopefully you guys can help us do that as well.
Like you said, I attended I took some stuff out to the one at the U of L campus out there, and I thought the ease of getting in and out and the way you guys had it organized really worked out well. What really surprises me is the comment on the way the situation of people in general and the use of electronics, but 18 tons of electronics recycled. I think that's fairly impressive.
Yeah, some of it is a little bit of an estimate, but 3 semi-tractor trailers is basically what we're getting of the electronics at these events. That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. 3 per event?
We had 2, a little over 2 at the first. We had 2.5 at the second, and we had 3 at the third.
Wow. That's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Pete, this is Jack Will, if I can ask.
Yes, sir.
Do you have do you have the complete schedule for the year, or are you doing it a piecemeal?
I'll let Karen answer that one.
We do have a schedule. I don't know if I posted them all on the Recycle Coach calendar, but basically on our website, louisvilleky.gov/popups, I continually change it for the next one, but it's on a rotation of the Southwest Central, which is at our Metro Fleet facility on Newburgh, and then the East at the Shelby campus, and we'll rotate that 3 times. We're finalizing all of those currently. And, but yeah, we basically know the schedule, and that's the idea, is the rotation to the 3
The reason
areas.
I'm asking whether it's just this first one in March, or all of them, if you can send me an email, a list, and I'll send it out to all the mayors prior to each one of them. So if you want to send me one for this March, or if you do have them, because they can, if I give them enough notice, a lot of times they need time to get it out within their city, whether through their newsletter or council commission meeting, and unfortunately, a lot of times we get information to them the month they're meeting, so it's hard to really spread it. So if you, whatever partial or full you can email, I'll be glad to forward that on. And
Sure,
in the future,
I can do that.
through,
And we have some flyers and
Rose
images.
Evans and Sandra Leonard and Bruce, we'll get it out to the cities for you.
Absolutely, thanks.
Yeah, appreciate that. Karen, were they, I can't remember, were they taking zip codes at the drop-offs?
We did, and I'd have to find that, pull up a file if you want to see. But yeah, we've been collecting zip codes. I don't think we did it the first one, but then the second and third we did to get an idea of where people are coming from.
I was just curious if you have anything right off the top of your head. Did the participation center around the location, or were you getting people coming from farther distances?
People came from all over, but I'd say the majority was closer to the location.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
What are the hours of this? I was going to put it on my calendar for March.
10 to 2.
10 to 2? Thank you.
Yeah, I think overall this should work out much better than that once a year or sometimes twice a year thing we did at the landfill. Because if nothing else, it just makes it a little more convenient for people, and you know, say the landfill out in that semi-industrial end of the county, that probably scares some people off. They figure they can't find their way out there. So I think this will work out much better in the long run. Any other questions, comments from board members or the attendees?
Well, this is Director Burns. Just a reminder that that 10-year feasibility study that you guys paid for in conjunction with Metro, it talked a lot about South Hall, and the fact that the thing that it talked about in terms of our future, that we're actually doing it. I think all of you should be very proud that there's a connection between the report that was done, and we're actually developing programs to be able to do that. So again, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments?
This is Rhonda Poston. I have a question about the event. Is it possible to get the event posted on the Nextdoor app?
Did you say the Nextdoor app?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I usually create an event and share that through Nextdoor. I don't think I've done the one for March yet on Nextdoor, but I will, and then it should be shareable. I have basically a district agency account under my name.
Okay, thank you.
I would also like to point out that it is available through our Recycle Coach app, which it has that really good tool about what goes where. And if you type in light bulbs, it will pop up where in Jefferson County that you can take to recycle or dispose of a particular item, and it lists hundreds of items. So that's also a really good tool that we want to push out there, and through that we can also send out event reminders as well.
Yeah, I currently have the March pop-up on the calendar, but I haven't put the other ones past that. I think I was just waiting for all the locations to verify. But if you have that app and you pull up the calendar, you can see, if you're in the Urban Services District, you'll see your entire waste collection schedule. If you're not, you'll see all events that we have planned. And I put my webinars and everything on there.
There are no other questions on the pop-ups. Next thing, Pete.
I don't believe that we've met since we've had the waste tire collection event that we discussed. Wanted to let you know how that went. The event was held in November over a 3-day period. we netted 97,551 passenger tire equivalents, which is a measurement that takes into account semi-tires and such. We had asked for the board to approve up to $25,000 in overtime expenses for our crews because we couldn't use inmate help in unloading the tires. We actually felt pretty lucky in that the event was conducted when our bulk waste division was on a free week, meaning that they were able to be repurposed for the event, and there wasn't any charge for that. So Metro took care of that part of it. And then on the Saturday, where there was going to be some overtime, the event had, we came out there full guns blazing, ready to offload a huge amount of tires, and it was slow. So we was able to cut down the number of staff fairly quickly after we determined that we wasn't going to get overrun. So we did everything we could to keep our funding low. So the cost, I don't know what the exact cost was, but I know that it was less than $10,000 to the district. So all in all, I think the event went extremely well. A lot of tires out of the community and on their way to be repurposed. So thank you guys again for all your help on that.
You know, it's kind of amazing, and I may have my figures wrong, but when the state first started these waste tire collection events, well over 10 years ago, we were getting about 100,000 tires per event. And it's amazing that we're still getting that many tires.
Well, I would say that we was able to clean up one of the worst tire dumps in Jefferson County through this event. So I still see that the number of tires, and I think that the guys with the state when they were there kind of confirmed this, the number of tires coming in across the state is going down. The purpose of the program of $1, I think it's $1 per tire that you have to pay when you buy a new tire. Over time, this has really started to pull all of the scrap tires out of the state tire piles. So it's been successful. It's made the state safer, both from fire and from mosquito-borne illnesses and the like. So very successful program for those funds that you pay when you buy a new tire.
Any additional questions, comments from board members or the audience? Okay, Pete, next item.
This is going to go to Karen for the education report.
Yeah, I just wanted to share a couple things. One is that we're doing another webinar series. So this is our third one, and I have done a How to Recycle Right webinar at the start of each series so far. It's been pretty popular, so trying it again. Even though the recordings are out there, we'll see if we still get a lot of people wanting to attend that one. But the other three, Pete's gonna help me out on a couple of them. We're gonna do one about the solid waste study, which for some of you board members that might need to re-look at the study, or it might be one that you'd want to attend. And another one about household hazardous waste. That was a topic that was actually suggested from a survey I did to participants of previous webinars. And then we're going to do another one on backyard composting. Our plan this year is to order a truckload of compost bins and this time have them being sold like we did last year, but have a separate little section over at the pop-up drop-offs for a few months where people can go pick up their compost bin. That way we don't have to do like another event since we're already doing 9 this year. We thought it might be a good way to just combine that. But we want to get the word out and talk more about composting again. And so Diane Moon is actually going to help lead that one. And all of our recordings are still on the website, the Waste District website I've sprinkled them out around on the Louisville KY website as well. We are finally getting our No Waste Ambassador program started. This is basically a program where we're trying to get a volunteer base. So we want people to learn a lot of things that we're kind of doing in the webinar format, but just a little bit more detailed and focused, and get people to really learn about waste reduction, and then of course all the ins and outs of Louisville waste systems. And we, as far as becoming an ambassador, we're having our group all do some kind of a project. So that'll come about through the course, and we want them to, it could be to start composting themselves, or that could be a really small project, and then or if they are a part of a community group or a neighborhood and they want to somehow enhance education through that. So we're just really hoping we get some creative people, and no matter what, the goal is to spread the word and all of this about waste and waste reduction education to more of the county. So it's kind of like at an exponential rate. If we train more people, then more people will then teach others. So this is we've gotten 13 applications as of today, and I have that. I have an online application. There's no commitment by filling out the application, and I have a goal of doing a virtual orientation, hopefully next week, and to get everybody, do a little presentation, just a little more details about the program, and allow people to ask questions. We're going to gauge kind of the best time. I'm assuming we're going to be doing our virtual classes in the evening on a weekday for about 4 weeks. We'd love to do tours. That could likely be on hold for a little bit, but we another goal is to have everybody that participates to tour the West Rock and Smith Creek, and hopefully a transfer station. So we'll see how that goes as far as COVID, but I guess that's pretty much it. We do have a state grant that's going to help us build our resource library for this program. So our goal, of course, the concept came about long before the pandemic, but the idea is for whether it's a community event, if we have volunteers that help table at an event, or even go into classrooms, but to have resources available from litter pickers, things like that we can use with kids at a picking up litter teachable moment, or whatever it is, resources for tabling events too. So does anybody have any questions about the webinars or the ambassador program? I didn't make a slide for this, but I will share that Diane and I are going to participate in SWANA, which is the Solid Waste Association of North America. We signed up for a training that they offer on zero waste practices and principles. So we're excited about that, and that starts next week.
Karen, I think we had talked about this before, but COVID threw a monkey wrench into it. But keep in the back of your mind, if things start opening up better with COVID, I'd like to see if you could arrange an offer to board members for a tour of the landfill sometime.
We will work on that.
That's obviously going to be some months off, but if we can work it in, I think it'd be good for.
Right.
You have anything else on education, Karen?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, thank you very much. That no waste ambassador thing that's going to be interesting to follow. Pete, enforcement, licensing, compliance.
Yep, we've just completed licensing for this year. You can see there who we have: one landfill, one compost facility, 22 recyclers of various different materials such as tires, mulch, curbside recycling, source separated recycling, metals and such. We have 4 transfer stations, 48 different waste haulers. We have 7 that pick up curbside. So the dumpster business, roll-off dumpster business where they drop it off at your home is booming. We have 48 different haulers, which is fine. And 11 auto salvage yards and junk yards. I think at our peak, there was 37 of those. But as time has worn on, they've had trouble staying in operation for various different reasons. I think a couple of big ones came into town, which really kind of hurt the small guy. All of these licensees will have to be reporting by February 1st, which is right around the corner, and which has already taken place through our Retrack Connect system. They would be reporting, what waste they hauled, where they hauled it, where it was disposed, recycled, what materials were recycled and composted, as well as letting us, the board, know how many customers they served in Jefferson County and the pricing for those customers. So all that report should be coming up, and that would be going into our annual report, which we'll talk about in just a few minutes. A couple of other updates. We have 55 cameras that the Metro Council has purchased, which would take it up to 85. It has been a long process to get this contract through. And the reason for that is that we're going through a sole source contract. Metro Council has to approve that. We have a certain camera that we've been using. We have our software set up for that. We believe that they're the best cameras out there. So it's just taken us some time. We still have not been able to hire 2 officers, and these 2 officers are paid for through the litter abatement grant, and but we still also don't have inmates. So when we did have them, we was using injured employees and such to go out and pick up litter where we could, just trying to keep up. And the new lift that the Metro Council purchased, that has been put way back because of COVID. Well, we're finally supposed to take delivery of it in mid-February. So it's all going to come together with the cameras and the having our lift again. So our camera program for illegal dumping should take off in March, which would be a really good thing. Just an update on where we're at, and this is only pertaining to citations and only to illegal dumping. Since the beginning of the fiscal year, we've issued 49 citations for $24,000, about $8,000 in cleanup fees, but we've also impounded 8 vehicles, and that is with one hand tied behind our back because we don't have as many cameras and we don't have our lift. So that does not include situations like people leaving their garbage out or putting junk out when they're not supposed to. So that's just a little bit about what enforcement has going on. It's been a while since we've made this report to you guys, so that's why we're doing it today. I can keep going unless anybody has any questions on enforcement and licensing. Okay, so solid waste management planning, as I said, all of that is due to the state by March 1st. So at our next board meeting, we will be reviewing all of the reports that are coming in from the waste haulers and recyclers. as well as who's licensed, and we'll update our diversion numbers at that time to see how the county is performing as far as diverting from the landfill. So we should have that going. It's been a while since we've gotten it in on time, but we hope to have it ready for you guys to take a look at. We don't think that there's any changes in the format. Plus, we'll also have to certify our litter abatement grant spending for the calendar year 20. And unless anybody has any questions on that, I can go into litter abatement and cleanliness. Okay, I am going to switch presentations real quick. I think I am. And I'm not going to do this whole slide deck, but this goes back to what Director Burns was talking about earlier and the Clean Collaborative that is taking place. These are the funds and what the Metro Council has approved. This is basically for staffing and contracts and small equipment costs. They've approved up to $972,212, and this is up until the end of this fiscal year. You know, it's paying for the extra sweeps. It's paying for up to 12 people to be out picking up litter. So that is a good thing. And oops, let me make this full screen. And these were equipment purchases. So pretty quickly, I mean, you can see that the commitment up until the end of this fiscal year is $1.5 million on cleanliness, which is a substantial jump and commitment for the city to be going after litter. So it's a really good thing that they're doing this. So part of this presentation was to let people know what is taking place and what is being proposed. So I'm just going to go through some of the things that we've done and what is being proposed. Here you'll see hotspot cleanups, and some of this is what we've already done. Like in 2019, we covered almost 1,400 miles with our inmate and our 2 officer crews. And we picked up 187,000 pounds of waste and 556 tires. So that's not too bad. The lines that you see there is where is not an actual thing. I'm going to talk about this map a little bit. We cleaned up 598 homeless camps, and we clean up all those green dots 2 times per day, 7 days per week. Viaducts collect litter. So we are constantly cleaning these locations. Another area that has always been a challenge to us is the Central Business District, and it's helped with the Downtown Partnership, which is another group, and they have people that are cleaning all the time. And what they've done is they've proposed expanding their reach if we would supply them with a little bit of help with another MADVAC sweeper and 1 person to help clean litter downtown. So that will also be a big improvement for the downtown area. This one is one that these crews are going to be hitting. These are areas that are currently on the street sweeping, suburban street sweeping program. You can see the curved miles that are swept, and these are currently done 3 times a year with street sweeping. We are adding that these 14 additional crew people will be out there doing these on a regular basis. So it would be nice if we got around 9 times. We don't know if we can do that, but what you'll see is that we have people out there on a route consistently doing cleaning, which is extremely important. And also note that we have been cleaning these, but we've been doing it with so few people and there's so much litter, it's just impossible to make a difference. There are also the interstate ramps. If you notice the interstate ramps, particularly at certain times, they get a lot of litter. people getting on and off the highways. The Kentucky Division of Department of Transportation already cleans litter when they do 3 times per year. You guys, through the Waste Board and the Litter Abatement Grant, fund 2 additional litter cleanups in the wintertime. If you guys didn't do that, the interstates would be unbelievably bad. And then the new proposal is going to add the cleaning of the ramps for 5 times. So it'd be a total of 5 times up until the end of this fiscal year, including the 2 that Metro does, that the district does. So increasing the cleaning of the ramps. The suburban street sweeping, that one, as Keith said, is getting an additional sweep in there too before the end of the fiscal year. These are things that we already do. The street sweeping that's done of curbed streets in the urban services district. The darker lines is where those where they go. That's done 3 times a year. Another one that we're doing is alley action. This is already currently funded in the last fiscal year. This one is a focus on cutting back the overgrowth in vegetation and obstructions and to pick up litter. It's not a junk pickup thing, but this one, what we find is if the alleys are open, things are visible, then there's less illegal dumping. It's less potential for people to hide in crimes, reduces graffiti. It gives more access for our vehicles, less damage to our vehicles due to tree limbs. And it also allows emergency vehicles easier access. So this one is huge. I think the Metro Council approved 700,008 people to do this in the last fiscal year. So this is in addition to that 1.5 million. Going to do hand collection along the urban services district. These are basically follows the TARC routes where most of the litter goes. It's mostly the major thoroughfares. So there's going to be additional cleaning there as well. And the bulk waste by appointment, we feel like is going to reduce illegal dumping. It's going to reduce piles of junk on the side of the road because we're going to be getting rid of junk as it's generated. So each person in that urban services district is going to be able to call and make an appointment for 4 items every week.
Pete, if I can ask a question. This is
Sure.
Jack Will again. On your street sweeping in the urban service district, and I guess otherwise, is that mainly main thoroughfares like Newburgh Road, Barstown Road, Taylorsville Road? You're not doing that in the interconnecting neighborhoods, are you?
I think that there may be some of that. I think what they're doing is trying to follow the curbed roads.
Okay.
And I think that the biggest issue that we have is with MSD and the draining system there, having to keep those drains open is probably the biggest, or we're going to get neighborhood flooding. They have to go out and clean out those basins, but the more often that we can sweep, the less likely that's going to happen. And it also helps with maintenance at the sewer treatment plants with less debris that has to be moved. So yeah, I do think that they get into where there's more of the drain on the side of the road.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
But this is Director Burns, but they do the residential streets inside the urban service district 3 times a year.
This is just litter bins, and it's not all the litter bins that's out there. It doesn't zoom out. One of the things to note is that most of the litter bins are in the urban services district because Metro can solid waste services those at the same time that they do the households. So you can see the different kinds. And there's been a bigger focus is to try to get litter baskets along pedestrian walkways as much as anything, because putting litter baskets where they do not need to be can actually create more litter. Like in a residential neighborhood, we have a big issue with people filling it up with garbage and then it overflows before the next pickup. So they're just not that big. The last things that we're talking about is litter assessment, and that's what Director Burns was talking about. This is a bright side assessment, which hasn't been done in a little bit, particularly due to COVID. And it's a score based upon little smaller areas. But what we're proposing is a one that would follow the street sweeping routes in the county, and we're going to score the entire length of those roads. So we're still working on that to be able to do that. That's going to be, we're going to try to get the baseline before we start these programs, and then to periodically do them so that we can see if we are improving the cleanliness of the community. So there'll be more on that. We're going to do a lot of this through ArcGIS, and this is something that I did want to show you that we eventually want to get to. Any kind of litter action that's taking place, any cleaning that would take place would be entered into this data set. And you can see on the one side, it tells us how many curb miles have been cleaned, how many bags of litter, how many other items, and how many tires. But it's a dynamic zoom, and you can zoom in on an individual street, click on it, and see how many bags was picked up, how many curb miles was picked up, and the date and the time that the crews were at their picking them up. So this is going to help us to be able to show where we're doing what. We're not sure if we can get this to be public, at least not in a little while. We have to get a lot of these programs up and running and the data input into this system before we can really make it where we can make it public. So you can see as I zoom in, the numbers change for how much litter has been picked up in that area. So let's see. If you have a place that's been picked up multiple times, you can just click on it and it would tell you the different times and number of bags it's been cleaned. So unless there's any questions on that, I'd like to jump back to the other presentation real quick, because we do have a little bit of an ask on that. So all that being said, what's the one thing that's missing in all this? Education. And we realized that we need a countywide anti-litter campaign. And, most places have these that have good cleanliness. You can see here that the state of Kentucky pretty much rates pretty low in the cleanliness, according to a 2014 American State Litter Scorecard. And one of the things that you need is for the best ones is a slogan and litter campaign. So here we are. We started looking at these. We met with a couple agencies to see what they recommend. We know that we need an emotional message that touches people. We're kind of bouncing back and forth between a specific message versus a branding. The branding may take a little bit longer. We want to make sure that we can target the right demographics. That 16 to 34-year-old age group is huge litterers. They 3 times more likely to litter than most of the people on this call. And we have to be able to hit the right media types and where those people are sitting, like Hulu or through social media, where they are going on those sites. And then we know that we need a sustained campaign with a changing message that's going to go over several years. But what we're looking at right now is the potential to get some learnings from this and do a campaign. And I think what we're trying to say here is that we may want to make an ask to the Waste Management District for either litter abatement funds or rollover funds to help us fund countywide anti-litter education, so that we can kind of start to hit things from this level while the iron is hot, and we've got all these cleaning programs coming online. We need to team it with an outreach and education program or campaign. So we're just kind of letting you guys know what we're looking at and trying to judge your interest in doing that. And we would like to get your input as to what you think about the possibility of funds up to maybe $50,000 in the future at our next meeting. We don't want you to decide tonight, and we would come back to you with some concrete things on what we want to do and what you'd be paying for. But we just kind of want to get your thoughts on it.
Well, and my own personal opinion is, and everybody's been saying this for years, it's education, education, education. But again, I'm glad to see you guys looking at targeting the demographics and targeting what that demographic segment actually looks at, as opposed to just throwing up billboards or that type of thing. So yeah, I think it's a move in the right direction.
So would you guys be interested in a proposal at your next board meeting that we can ask you for a few more funds?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely worth looking at.
Okay, great. Appreciate that. We'll be getting back with you. The last thing I think that we have is to update you on the Recycle Carts grant. The grant agreements have been finalized. Based upon when we got the $280,000 from you on December 2nd, we were able to finalize those agreements. Those will be approved in Metro Council here in the next month or so when they kind of get back. The agreements are going through the administrative approval process, so it's going through the county attorney's office. It's going through the CFO, and then ultimately for the mayor's approval. So we're on track for July 1st to begin into every other week recycling with the larger carts. So we're going in the right direction on that. Does anybody have any questions on that part? Awesome. That concludes the staff report. I apologize for it being so long, but it's been about 2 months since we've gotten a chance to talk to you guys, at least about all these things.
Are there any additional questions or comments that it may have popped into somebody's mind on this whole thing that Pete's been covering on the staff report? Okay, hearing none, I guess that concludes the items you had for presentation at the meeting.
Yes, sir.
Normally at the end of the meeting, you don't have it on the agenda, but normally at the end of the meeting, we ask if there's any input, questions, or comments from the audience in general.
Yeah, Bob, if I could, on behalf of Mary Rose, Sandra Leonard, I'd invite all of you. February 18th is the next regularly scheduled Jefferson County League of City monthly member meeting. We've, as you probably know from previous emails, we've moved them to 5:30. St. Matthews is gracious enough. Thank you, Mayor Tonini, who's on with us.
Lost something there.
To host them. It's the annual meeting, and we've got the new chief of police as our speaker. So the monthly member meeting is at 5:30. The board, which sometimes is closed, not closed, the board meeting follows immediately after that. But it's 5:30 on February 18th, and if you want to look ahead, if you're interested, it's the third Thursday through June. We're going to keep them at 5:30 virtually and kind of review it in May, June. But obviously, all of you are welcomed. We always have a 109 board report from Mary Rose and Sandra at the board meeting. But the monthly member meeting with the chief will be first at 5:30. So any of you that are interested, you're welcome to join us.
Is that a show up type?
No, it's a virtual meeting.
Okay.
And I've got your all's emails. I'll send you, Pete and Keith always get it, but I'll send you the invite to it. All I need is an RSVP from you. And then we'll forward the link out from the city of St. Matthews.
Okay, yeah, that was what I needed to know if we needed the RSVP.
Yeah.
All right, we'll look for that then. Thank you, Jack. Any other questions or comments? Any other issues, items, board members would like to bring up or comment on? Well, I guess that takes care of it. I'd like to thank everybody for attending and everybody for participating. I'd like to thank Pete, Keith, Karen, Director Burns. If there's nothing else that anybody wants to bring up, I guess we will adjourn the meeting. I apologize that it ran a little long, but not too terribly bad. We'll adjourn the meeting then at, do we have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Moved, second.
Second.
Anybody opposed to adjourning? All right, we are officially adjourned for the January 27th meeting at 6:48 p.m. Thanks everybody for your attendance and your participation.
Thank you.
See you all next month.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
A lot of beeping. As people are bailing out of it.